How you doing, sir?
Yeah.
Media is essential to democracy, and democratic election is impossible without the media. My name is Odi Uchawako. Alongside with me today is Miss Nia Black Awuzie.
Hi, everyone.
You are watching Cry Out Radio TV, a media house with a touch of excellence, and in our desire to provide viewers a participatory process in order to make informed choices in our democracy, we present this special interactive session featuring a Democratic Party candidate. He is seeking a Democratic Party nomination into the 400th District Court of Fonbet County, Texas. Mr. Derrick Obialo, you're welcome to this media event.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excited to have you here.
I appreciate to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome very much. Cry Out Radio is open to all other contestants and candidates in Fonbet County that will be going into these elections. We are open to interact with you. You can give us a call. Our telephone number is on our website, cryoutradiotv.com, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an interactive section, and we'll take questions from our guests across the divide, and even people that might be outside Fort Bend County, Mr. Obialo, they might be asking you some questions because I know you have some personal friends all around the United States, and we will go right ahead and hit it off. I want all the viewers to send in their questions to our Facebook Live page, and we look to serving you better. Thank you very much. Miss Nia, you can take it from there.
Absolutely. We're going to dive right into the questions. So, Derrick, I actually live in Fort Bend County, and I love it.
Good.
It's amazing. So we're ready to grill you. Because what matters to us is that we have someone who represents us very well. But to me, honestly, your story is just impeccable. The trajectory of your life is so impeccable. You were born in Nigeria. You schooled primarily in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken, and in the U.S. here.
Yes.
And now you're running for public office. That is just astounding. So tell us, how did you realize that this is your calling? This is where you're supposed to be? And tell us a little bit about your story in the mix as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Nia. Thank you, Odi. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story with everyone here. Yes, I schooled primarily in Nigeria. I'm originally from Nigeria. Sometimes I wonder, maybe this is still a dream, that I'm here enjoying the opportunities that this country presents. Yeah, I was born in eastern Nigeria. I don't want to date myself.
Okay.
But that's fine.
It's okay.
But yeah, I went to primary school, I went to secondary school and high school, and also to college. I got my license to be an attorney in Nigeria. I went to law school in Nigeria, got licensed to practice in 1991, and I started my practice 91, and I eventually migrated to the United States in 1994.
Oh, wow.
So when I got here, I worked for a little bit, and I picked up from where I stopped, so to say. Went to Houston Baptist University, did an MBA, and I went to University of Miami to do another JD program. So I wanted to immerse myself in the American legal system, so I decided I have to do it twice in order to really get the nuances of the American jurisprudence. And I'm glad I did.
That's amazing.
That's very much Derrick Obialo. He's been a personal friend, but I'll keep this very professional, at this point. You are pragmatic and diverse in all your endeavors, which inevitably has rubbed off in your campaign. And for this election with Fort Bend County, we are in a diverse environment. A lot of Nigerians, a lot of Africans across the divide, and of course a large population of Nigerians and other African residents. How has your campaign been able to reach out to this demography, and what are the responses you're getting from your people?
Yeah, first, I do recognize that I am an immigrant in the United States. You can't run away from yourself, from your origin. So
yeah.
I appreciate that, and it's something that enriches my background and my life. It doesn't take away from it. So yes, I've reached out to all my immigrant community friends and colleagues and families and all that. They are very enthusiastic. They are happy about this campaign, and I can see a lot of energy in the Nigerian community, in the African community, and all immigrant communities. I've also reached out, and I have a lot of colleagues and friends from other communities as well. So I've got my campaign staff. It's actually very diverse, so I can represent the diversity in the county.
Yeah.
So I'm reaching out to everybody across the board. I can not win without my community.
That's true.
But I can also not win without the larger community. I cannot win with only my community. So and especially being a judge, you have to be very impartial, unbiased, and you represent everybody in the community. So I try my best to do that and to get my outreach to all the communities in Fort Bend.
That's really good. You know, I like that you own the fact that you're an immigrant. Like you said, you cannot take that away from you. It's who you are.
Right.
And being an immigrant can be very sensitive in this country. And not just any immigrant, an immigrant from a country that the president of the United States called the S word, right? We can't stray away from that.
Right.
So with that, and as you stand tall and as you own that title, what kind of message do you want to pass across? You know, how do you really want to represent this community?
Yes, that is true. The most important thing is to represent yourself. Be true to yourself and be true to your values, the values that you grow up. I've been opportuned, and I very much have an advantage that I grew up in a background that gave me all the values to reach out to be a good citizen. So I think the first thing that you have to recognize is just to be true to yourself, and that will change the whatever sensibilities or whatever sentiments that maybe is negative or positive that people have towards immigrants. Once they see you in a positive light, then that starts to change stereotype. Yeah, I'm very much aware of the president's
Comments.
comments,
Yes.
even though he denied it.
Yes.
But there's a lot of integrity in our community.
Yes.
There's a lot of hardworking people. We have all kinds of professionals. With every community, there's got to be good and bad. The good outweighs the bad in our community, very much so. I mean, there's not even a question about it. People tend to focus on the bad thing when bad things happen,
Exactly.
and then try to magnify it. All we have to do is just be who we are, and show everybody else, the whole community, that we can just do as much a good job as everybody else can do. I've tried to emulate that in my practice.
Yes.
In my everything that I do, especially in my family life.
Yes.
So that's what I'm bringing towards
to the table.
And I hope that's what the community and the voters will see out of this and take away from my campaign.
And I hate that I keep talking about this immigrant question because it's also a sensitivity that I have personally, being a Nigerian American, right? It's not always easy. And I'm so glad you're touching on that. And so one last question about this immigrant question, about this whole immigrant thing.
I'm glad to stay on it.
Right, because I really want you to capitalize and really emphasize on it. So, and this could be like a yes or no question.
Okay.
And your response could be yes or no. So do you think being a Nigerian, having that label Nigerian, gives you an advantage or is at a disadvantage?
For this particular election, I think is an advantage, and I'm going to explain.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not going to be a yes or no.
Okay, it could be.
Yeah. So for this election, I think I'm not shy about telling everybody, and I do recognize that this is a historic election.
Yes.
And if we are successful, it's going to make history as the first Nigerian African judge of Fort Bend County, and perhaps probably Fort Bend, Harris, or surrounding counties. I think some Nigerian immigrants have been making great strides. They've been judges. They've been on the bench elsewhere in across Texas and the United States. But for our county, I think this is the first time, and it's going to be historic. I think because of that, that energizes the community.
Yes.
And not just the Nigerian community, but the whole African community. They get energized because of it. So that's a positive for me in my campaign, because I think what makes elections and campaigns successful is the energy that you bring to the table, to the election. You have to energize your base. Now, having said that, it also energizes other people, other immigrants, because it sends us a message out there that if you do the right thing, this is a land of opportunity. And for someone like me to come in and wish to aspire to this position, that tells a lot about the kind of country that we live in. And I think that brings a lot of energy and positivity from everybody else. That's why I think it's an advantage and not a disadvantage.
Well said.
That's nice. That's nice. And not to still keep you on that trajectory a little bit, you know, you have been consistent. You know, you started slowly, you know, and gradually you picked up steam. And like you said, you've been able to reach out to your community and also the larger community. You know, last week in Missouri, you had a board work, and I was opportune to, my lens captured Mr. Beto. And he used to be he was one of the presidential aspirants in the last elections, you know, and I think he's a leader of thoughts in the Democratic Party. And did he endorse you by his presence there? And how has his presence been able, because you must be doing something right, you know, for him to come around. I mean, you know, so I felt maybe I touched base on that. And, you know, did they endorse you, Mr. Obialo?
No, that's an emphatic no.
Okay.
Let me start off from there, and then I can explain. So I think what you saw was a lot of pictures that we took with Beto. He was out in Texas campaigning for Elise Markowitz.
All right.
Unfortunately, this is the 29th. Elise's election was just yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, she lost to Gary Gates of the Republican Party. But Beto was out campaigning heavily for Elise, and we happened to have our own campaign event on that day. So we went over to support Elise.
Okay.
And that's how we get to meet Beto.
Okay. It's
a very nice, yes, a very nice guy. And one that I will put my trust in.
Certainly, Mr. Obialo, certainly. I appreciate that clarification.
Right.
Yes.
Just to add, did he give you any words of wisdom or advice or anything?
He was very encouraging, and he was actually surprised, enthusiastic about the outcome, the Nigerian community in Fort Bend County.
Wow.
We don't really know the power that we have, because there's a lot of Nigerian immigrant community that live in Fort Bend County. So Beto saw that and was actually very encouraged. So he was actually supportive of that.
That's good. That's good. We're making waves.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
sure are.
So just digressing into your vision. I mean, we got a chance to really, you know, read about your campaign, and your vision is quite monumental and impactful. So you talk about bringing compassion, which is quite important. You never hear about that in the judicial system. You talk about equality, you talk about efficiency. And for me, what stood out was accessibility. And this is because I worked years in the nonprofit sector.
Okay.
And one problem we had is gaining access to people in public offices. But you highlight accessibility, which is so good. So what practical steps would you take to improve citizens' access to the courtroom?
Yeah, the first thing that I want to do is, and I want to touch on those objectives of mine, apart from accessibility. I want to prove citizens' experience when they come to this court, 400 District Court. One way that I can do it is to help support the pro bono litigants that come in. I want also to make it a less fearful place, because being in the courtroom can be very intimidating.
Very intimidating.
What we'll do is to organize the court in a way that will make litigants very less fearful of the courtroom. I can institute policies where you can have litigants come in and talk to the court in a way that's informal, even though it's a more formal setting. So less formality, even though we're sticking to the rules of the courthouse. And what I also intend to do is to set up what is called more of a, a preferential setting, where when we set a date for trial, that will be a date that is set for trial rather than a revolving, because sometimes courtrooms are so congested. Even though we get a date set, we can't really determine or make a decision whether this is the date that this case is going to go to trial. I'll be more acceptable or more susceptible towards having litigants, whether they are pro bono or whether they are represented by counsel, to have preferential setting in my courtroom. Having practiced so long as an attorney, I know the benefits that brings to litigants, and it actually, makes the cost of litigation low, and removes that uncertainty with a lot of people. From my practice, I think a lot of people, they have they get put off when cases keep getting continued, even when it's set. Especially people who don't understand why that is. So I will try to make our courtroom more efficient so that doesn't happen a lot of the time.
All right.
It's good. So, do you have a question, Adi? I can.
Oh, wait, you go ahead, because I'm still going to be in line of his vision.
Okay,
so
in line of the vision. Okay, so when you talk about making it less formal, is that what you said?
Yes.
So how can you expatiate on that?
So there are certain rules that we all have to go through as counsel. So I'm going to lessen those restrictions for pro bono litigants.
Oh, good. Okay.
Who don't know what the rules are. The rules are there for a purpose, to ensure that everybody follows them, and we get to because we're always trying to get to the truth of certain facts to make our decision.
Yes.
Lessening that for pro bono litigant doesn't mean that I do away with them altogether. But we have those less restrictions where it's just there for formalities that the lawyers follow. Pro bono litigants will be held to it, but with a lesser kind of, I guess you will call restraints, constraints around,
not as strict.
Around that.
Okay, and so just in continuation to that question, like I said, I love the vision you highlighted, compassion, equality. Why isn't accountability part of it?
I guess accountability, you can put it, accountability is part of efficiency, I would think.
So you would add that together?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people can take away accountability or view it in a different way, right? Okay. When you say accountability, what that tells me is that the judge has to be accountable to the community.
Exactly.
In what they do.
That's exactly what I mean.
That's what I'm thinking you meant
that's
as well.
exactly what I mean.
I think that is a great idea. I think that comes, it's also part of compassion. Because when you're compassionate, you're doing justice with compassion, you are accountable to the people that sent you there. And I think the general public, the community wants some sort of compassion when we're administering justice. Also, efficiency goes with accountability. So accountability is once you do it right, and once you do it with compassion, and once you do it efficiently, you are accountable to the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really good.
Okay, nice one. I don't want to emphasize on that pro se representation because we have a couple of questions in that direction, but that's not, that's more, that's going to be more legal than what we're trying to get at today.
Right.
Now, we're looking at part of your vision, and I'm looking at how you're going to be able to balance your being an independent judge and being an elected official. I mean, how do you, because as far as I look at it, those are two different things. You're an elected official of the people and you're an independent judge. How are you going to streamline your chair, as you talk to us on those platforms?
Yeah, your concern is not, you're not alone in that concern. Okay, let me just put it out there. And I think what you are saying is correct. If I may clarify, though, you're saying, how does a judge who's supposed to be unbiased and impartial,
yes,
how do you do justice when you are elected?
Yes.
Because you have to now look at public opinion in order to do it.
And that's
exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
And that's a great concern. That's a concern that everybody shares. The Texas, of course, the federal system, they do, you get on the bench by appointment, and not election. Texas happens to have election for judges across the board. Personally, I think it's a great thing because it means that people like me can aspire and have the community vote to decide whether I'm going to be there or not. In terms of being impartial and not having public opinion sway you, I think that has to come with the integrity of the person. For someone who aspires to be a judge, it's not something that is taken lightly, that decision to be on the bench. You have to be a person of integrity. You have to be a person that will, I guess integrity will say, this is how it's going to be based on your understanding and your training, and then follow it through without being swayed by public opinion. There may be some times where public opinion will help in certain things. I think we all, and that also goes to accountability, because the judge is still going to be accountable for the decisions that they make. And that's up to the citizens to decide if a judge decides a case one way, should he stay in office after his tenure is up, or gets removed from office. That is the, I guess it's the accountability that the system builds into it, if you want to call it that.
Kind of interwoven together.
Right. So there are constraints around judges going rogue. But also I think to your question directly is, one has to be a person of integrity. One has to be a person of a strong character. And I think our training as lawyers and the experience that we garner along the way should make you be that person. Not only have I been trained as a lawyer, I also have life experiences, which has contributed to the person that I am today, which I think most judges should, if they don't already share it, should share, and one that they are persons of integrity.
Okay. I appreciate that, Ms. Nia.
No, I think that, you know what, Derrick, you're just amazing, and just hearing you speak so eloquently is really powerful. I'm so proud. Like, I'm literally sitting here so proud to be Nigerian. But I do want to kind of shift a little bit, right? Because I think the next question is going to be from Audie, but I'll go right ahead to this question. I want to shift and talk about women empowerment. And as a woman myself, I think that's so important that we touch on it. Are you nervous?
No.
You're up to the task?
No,
You're up to the task?
No,
Okay.
I'm not. I'm up to the task.
Okay, good. So now the current, the incumbent for this position, for this office, is Honorable Maggie Perez Jaramillo.
Yes.
And the person who's running against you right now for the candidacy is Tamika Carter, if I'm not mistaken, and that's also a woman.
Yes.
That's correct. Okay, so now with that, you have 2 women right now. And with the whole political climate about women empowerment, the need for female representation in leadership, how do you intend to win female votes? Because I could possibly just say, you know what, he's Nigerian, we connect on that level, but I want to connect to my women. I want more female representation. So how do you intend to win my vote and the votes of other women?
Yeah, that's actually a very great question. I appreciate that. Yes, my opponent in the primary is a competent attorney as well. And the incumbent judge is a Republican who, if I'm successful, I'm going to run against in November, also a woman. So yes, I am concerned about that. However, I think before I delve into that, I have great respect for women. In fact, I do agree that women probably are more intelligent than men are.
Okay.
Okay?
You heard
and you
it
probably can do more than we can do, right? I'm going to get back to that. I have 4 daughters. Oh, I have 3 daughters and 1 son. And I have a wife. So I think more important than just having a woman there, I think women want somebody who can deliver the job, do the job properly. First, with regards to my opponent, she's great attorney. I don't have anything negative to say about her. However, I think I've had more life experiences. I've done some other things in life, in addition to being an attorney. I've had other worldly experience that will add to being a judge. That I think when you combine those together, I think I'll be in a better position to deliver justice, whether it's in criminal cases or in civil cases, than she is. And I think that's why I'm a better candidate than her. So I don't think women folk just want to vote for someone just because they're a woman.
You might be surprised, though.
Some people do. I do understand that. And I think part of the empowerment is the historical disadvantage that women have. And I completely subscribe to that, so that women can have more advantages and have the same opportunities that men have historically had in society. But I think more important to that is getting justice right for women, not just someone that looks like me, has the same color of skin than I am, as I am. So I do want to believe that when it comes to women's vote, that need for experience, integrity, and someone who can deliver will outweigh the need just to the tribal need to vote for one of your own kind. Although I recognize that plays a part.
No, I do like that you said, you're a man in a house full of women.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to learn how to accommodate the needs of women. That's really, really good. But then you say that you have a lot of experiences that, puts you ahead of Tamika in a sense. But I kind of want you to go a little bit about and talk about those experiences. I think our viewers want to hear some examples, if you can share with us, so that they can just see and envision just your life and the things you've done. Okay.
So I practiced for a little bit for about 3 years in Nigeria, and I came over here. I did work for Enron, the corporation, before it went bankrupt. I'm probably one of those people you may have seen on TV coming out of that on that ill-fated November 2001 day. After that, I went and I've suffered having an employer go under. And I also went and became a construction consultant. I was first a senior analyst and then a consultant with a consulting company. So I've had those backgrounds, and I've been I wish, I think I want to say it's an advantage of building your own business.
Okay.
I've done so many
You have the skill
businesses.
set.
I did them and they failed.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, you still have the skill set, regardless.
But it's important that you at least try to do them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the experience that comes with failure.
Yes.
So I've done all that. I've employed people. I've had to grow my law firm, wondering how am I going to pay my light bill. And I've had situations where I've wondered, how am I going to pay my next apartment rent? And how am I going to pay my staff? So we've grown this law firm from those early days to where I can just go on a vacation and things that are being paid on their own. So I've gone through those periods and experiences to give me that person, to become that person that I am. When I see litigants in front of me coming to me with those backgrounds that I came from, I recognize myself in them, and I can at least empathize. I think that's what I bring to the table more than she does, and that, I think that's what makes me a better candidate.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Before we go into one of the hallmarks of your vision, I want to go back on accessibility, on the pro se part of it. You know, pro se litigants is one of the visions of your outreach, and I'm somebody that really appreciate that. And most of the pro se representations in cases are mainly Class C misdemeanors. I mean, I can't have a felony. I want to be a pro se, right? I want to get a lawyer for myself. Now, how the dignity of the individual here, you know, because when you go to a court now, you want to be pro se, there are lawyers that will be like, why couldn't he come to me so that I can handle his case? You know, why is he doing it pro se? You know, how do you kind of retain the dignity of the pro se man so that he doesn't feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing? You know, is there a bridge to streamline, you know, that legal proceedings, you know, so that they don't feel like they're inadequate, you know, like lawyers will want to make you feel, you know, why didn't you come to me, you know? So is there a way to bridge that gap?
Now, again, that's also a great concern. I see that a lot in my practice. I mainly practice construction litigation. I do a lot of construction law. I've done a lot of trials in court, but I've done some criminal cases, especially the misdemeanor cases that you talk about. I think I've done a couple of very serious felonies.
Maybe I could kind of re-clarify myself, right? Did you catch my?
I know where you're going.
Okay, all right.
Having done all those cases, I do recognize that how people struggle, defendants in criminal cases struggle when they go before the justice system. And some of them can afford attorneys, and I see that a lot. In fact, having to turn down some. And I also see that also in civil cases where they come up and they can't afford attorneys. What I intend to do is not to be a rubber stamp for the prosecutor.
Okay.
I'm not a prosecutor, never been one. Although I did an interview for the prosecutor's office in Harris County.
You've been everywhere.
I decided I didn't want that job.
Okay.
For different reasons.
Yeah.
We may not go into it today.
But
I'm not going to be a rubber stamp for the prosecutor. And I want to make sure, although what being on the bench does is it insulates you from what goes on between both sides, the prosecutor and the defendant. But I will, before I put my signature on any agreement or anything that goes on, whatever it is, I have to make sure that the interest of that pro se litigant was not undermined.
That's actually that's the point.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I appreciate that question, but I do have a lot of background in leading up to that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I know our viewers may be waiting with some questions, but I have one more for you.
Okay.
And this has to do, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. That's a popular quote, per se, by Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and that embodies your entire vision. Now, what's prompted that philosophy, so that I want you to explain to our viewers, would you be able to see where you stand on the challenge and controversies permitting our larger society politically today, and by extension, Fort Bend County?
Yeah. I like that quote, and that's why I adopted it for my website and actually for myself as a person. I think a lot of the times it's very comfortable just to stay in your comfort zone. And people always ask me when I go out, why do you want to be a judge? Well, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? A lot of people would rather just sit back and make money in their practice, because being a judge and being a public servant is like putting yourself out there so that you can be scrutinized and, with what all that entails. And also, for some of us, it comes with a decrease in pay.
Yes.
But that's a sacrifice that you make in trying to help the society, the community that you live in. I think it's easy, again, to just sit back, do your thing, and enjoy the obscurity of just being anonymous. But these are challenging times for our country and our community. There are a lot of things that we want to get right. We want to get people have to go to school, get educated, find ways to pay for it. There are a lot of families that are struggling right now. We all know what's going on with healthcare. I have those challenges myself. We have burdens. Students have lots of burdens, student loans and all that. I still have my student loan trailing me. Okay. So, and we can't just sit back and say, and point to our television screens every day and complain about it. We all have to lend. If you have any talent or any skill that you might lend to society, to the community, to make it better, this is what you have to do. And that's why societies are better. They just don't get better by themselves.
Yeah.
Time, we say, heals, but it's actually people that make those things happen. Now, this also, when eventually we win the primaries and go to November, to the general election, that will be the highlight of the difference between our candidates in the Democratic Party versus the Republican candidates. These are the things that we want to do to be done right in the community, the things that we believe as Democrats that will help the community to grow, diversity, to bring everybody in, and to help struggling families rather than having the business interest, although that is good, that is essential for society, but we always have to balance it. Because at the end of the day, individuals feel the pain, and every life matters. And once the life is gone, it's gone. Nothing matters after that.
That's true. We will take one more question from Ms. Black as soon as we hit and find out, and our viewers may have some questions for you.
Sure.
So
I welcome
While they are getting that ready,
I'll just throw a
you
question out
just
there.
throw one more question to Mr. Obialo.
Of course. So, I mean, what you said about people asking you why you being a judge or trying to be a judge, that stood out to me. And this is going to take us back to the early questions. When did you realize that this is your calling? Because I feel like this is a calling. And the way you speak about community development, it really, really is inspiring. I can see that you're a person who is for the people, for the community. So when did you realize that this is the path you want to take, and what stirred you in that direction?
I didn't really realize it until a couple of years ago. I've always tried to just be someone who's just trying to, make sure my little sphere of influence is done right. In my law firm, I have a partner, and we're always, every year, we try to see if there's anything else we can do to improve not just our career but the firm. And one of the things he brought up was, why don't you be a judge? Because we talk about things that are going on in the courtroom, why one decision is right versus the other, and how we could have improved on it. So that was the first time I ever gave any thought to it. And in thinking about it, I think it's going to be it's a way for me to give back to this community that I have stayed in. I moved back to Fort Bend County in 2007 after I left University of Miami. When I came to Fort Bend County, we bought a home. We had, I think, 3 of my kids were born there. So great school, great neighbors. So I just kind of felt welcome to this community, and I decided, this is probably a way to pay back, do something. This is a skill that I have, and I think I can use that skill to contribute to society development.
That's good. So I know we talked about women, right? And I'm also going to talk about a group that applies to me because I'm a millennial.
Okay.
And millennials are very big right now and very involved in political processes. So how do you intend to capture their votes? I know, and I see your campaign online, you have pictures of a lot of millennials. And like you said earlier, your campaign is very diverse. I mean, your manager's from a different ethnic group. It's very diverse. But how do you intend to capture more millennials? Millennials are into social media right now. Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? What tools and what steps are you taking to include them in the process?
Yeah, and I think the success of this campaign will definitely depend on millennials. That's why we are targeting millennials with so much ferocity. My campaign is doing that. We're doing that through social media, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. What we are also doing is going out to where they are and reaching out to them.
Oh, good.
So that's part of what I try to do. I'm not a millennial, but I kind of I have an affinity to millennials.
You can relate.
So yes, so that's a group that I love and that I want to go and engage with definitely.
So if you're on Facebook and Instagram, what's your Facebook handle and Instagram handle so that millennials and everyone on social media can tap into that?
Yeah, it's Derrick Obialo 2020 for Instagram, and Facebook is Derrick Obialo for Judge.
Awesome.
400.
400. Okay, so you guys heard it. Derrick Obialo 2020 for Instagram and Derrick Obialo for Judge.
Right.
400 on Facebook. And the 4 is spelled out, right? F-O-R.
No, 400. 400.
400. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All
figures.
right. So make sure you guys, tap into that.
Okay. I think we'll take some questions from our viewers, and then let's see what they have for you.
Do you have any questions?
Do we have any questions? My production is coming up with one questions, I believe. I think we take a commercial break right now.
And we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
What's the most important thing when filing your taxes? What's the most important thing when filing your taxes? Is it getting the most money for your returns, getting your money faster, or making sure your taxes are prepared accurately? Well, it should be all three. Passion Tax Services makes sure you get the most money for your return, your money quicker, and looks over your previous returns to ensure you get all the deductions possible. You get your money in 72 hours. Passion Tax Services offers cash advances to those who qualify. Don't wait. Call 713-271-0700. That's 713-271-0700 to get you the money you so deserve. First-time clients get a credit repair consultation, a $150 value free. Passion Tax Services, your one-stop shop for all your tax needs.
Okay, we are back here. We are live here at Cry Out Radio. We have once again Mr. Derrick is here with us, and Ms. Black Awuzie is here with us. We are having a question from Tamai. Tamai has a question for you, Mr. Obialo, and it says, which party is he going for? They do nothing Democrats or the Republicans?
Well, that's definitely a Republican asking that question.
No, yeah, I can take that question. I'm running in the Democratic Party primary. That's coming up March the 3rd, 2020. Early voting starts February 18th to the 28th of 2020. Yes, I will be running against the Republican candidate in November if I'm successful, but this particular election is within the Democratic Party.
Okay. Okay, and another question from Moses Tanye.
I think it's just a comment.
He will end my vote or let me log in and register. He's endorsing you. That's amazing.
Okay, thank you, Moses.
That's really good.
Okay. Well, we have a question from Kunle Elegbede.
Oh, Elegbede.
And he says, you can all see he has a judge's mindset and demeanor. Voters, what are you waiting for? February 18th, February 28th, early voting and election. Oh, he's still emphasizing. He's still emphasizing.
Thank you, Kunle.
Yeah, those are your viewers. You know, they're reaching out to you. And Luis Azode, the right man for the job, Fort Bend County. Okay, they are all just commenting that. I don't think they really will. They've been hearing so much from you across the board during your campaigns, and they're asking you everything. So I don't really see them asking you so much today. They want to cut you some slack.
I appreciate the comments. We need some questions. Ask me anything.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. We can wrap up the question from our viewers, and I'm sure the campaign has a lot to do today, Mr. Obialo. I'm sure you have other things you have to do today, and I'll let Ms. Black take it from there.
Yeah, no, Derrick, thank you so much, everyone, for watching today's special on Cry Out TV. And thank you to our guest, Derrick Obialo, for speaking to us about his campaign and highlighting his heart for community development. We encourage everyone to make sure they exercise their civic duty by voting in the upcoming election. Make sure you vote. And in this case, if you are in Fort Bend County, please vote. Early voting starts in February, if I'm not mistaken. And to find more about Derrick, like he mentioned earlier, visit his website, www.derrickobialo4judge.com. 4 is spelled out F-O-R. Or you can send him an email at derrickobialo4judge@obialo.com. Or follow him on social media, as he said. And we're so excited to have you guys jump on board and support this great man. Derrick, thank you so much again. We're so excited to have you. You are just a force to reckon with. Thank you.
Thank you. I
so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the interview.
Mr. Obialo,
Thank
I
you,
will
buddy.
appreciate you give us a short vote of thanks before you leave.
Okay. Thank you for everybody that tuned in for this interview. Thank you, Audie, and thank you, Ms. Black, for this. What I will ask each voter to do is to please examine the candidates that are running for the primary. And I think that once you do that, you will come away with the fact that I am the most appropriate candidate for this position in the Democratic Party. Right now, we are running a Democratic Party primary. As she said, the primary is in March. Early voting starts February 18th to the 28th. Please vote for Derrick Obialo for judge. Thank you.
That's a nice one, Mr. Obialo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it once again.
Derrick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for tuning in today. And we'll do this some other time. Until then, so long.